Urban exploration is a deadly game and can be dangerous at times, especially if you are in the wrong area. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to plan and explore, what to expect on one, and how to determine if a location is safe. And that's starting right now. When going on an explore, it's quite easy to get excited and overwhelmed with all that's happening around you. I mean, that pretty much happens to me every time I go on an adventure. So I often have to remind myself to just take a step back, take it easy, slow down. I don't quite know what's happening here, but it's gonna be okay. Planning an explore is quite easy. It's just putting those things into motion that's quite hard. So here's what you should do to make things as easy as possible, to make things run as smoothly as possible. As a little tidbit here, as a general rule, you shouldn't explore alone. I don't explore alone. You can. Some people think that it loses the authenticity of urban exploration if you do explore with others, but for me, there's two reasons behind it. First one is that if you get in trouble, there's someone there to help you. It doesn't matter what kind of trouble it is. You could hurt yourself, you could encounter someone unsavory. If there is anything that happens, you've got someone there. You have someone to back you up. Secondly, it kind of helps break the tension of exploring these unknown places. Often you enter a location, it's all new, you're like, wow, what's happening here? There's so much happening here, I don't quite know what to do or what to expect. But as you get more comfortable with having a friend with you, it helps you open up easier rather than just being on edge consistently. Now, to actually planning the explore. So the first thing you want to do is pick a location. You can't really explore anywhere if you don't have a location. If you're worried about being caught, try and pick somewhere that is of low risk and that everyone knows. Yes, it will be easily accessible, which also means that everyone is going to know about it. Every area has that starter location, so why not start there? Secondly, you want to determine what you'll need. Every location generally has similar things that you need to take with you. Depending on what time you choose to go, whether it be at night or during the day, you should generally bring in your adventure bag lights, masks for places that have asbestos, bring some water and some trail mix just in case you get a little hungry. Oh, and as a little quick tip, when exploring, going during the day is a little bit more sketchier as you are out in the open, you're more easily spotted, but it does have a lower risk of being caught simply because no one expects you to explore during the day. If you're going at night, overall, it's less sketchy. You're not as easily spotted, but being caught is higher as people tend to alert the authorities to things that happen at night. Thirdly, scout the location. If you have chosen a place that is less traveled, try and find as much information on it as you can. So that means finding videos, that means asking friends, even people in abandoned groups. The more information that you find out about the place that you're going to, the easier it's going to be for you. This will also help determine if the location is safe or not and whether it's worth the risk. Who am I kidding? It's always worth the risk. Don't actually do that. If the location is close by, just go for a drive or walk by it. Look for access points and just try and see what's up. You know, not just with the location itself, but with the area around it. Number 4, actually exploring the location. This is going to be a whole video on itself, but I'm going to touch on it here because it's still relatable. Are there construction signs around? Does it look heavily destroyed? Does it look like you could live in the place if you were unfortunate enough to become homeless? If so, take precaution when entering these places. A thing I like to do when I do encounter places like this is I like to make my presence known. Now, this doesn't mean throwing things, breaking things, banging on walls and stuff like that. It just simply means saying, hey, if there's anyone here, I want to make my presence known. Please make your presence known. And if you do, we'll get out of your hair. Now, you can use some variation of that. It just helps keep you and your friends safe. The last thing you want to do is come face to face with a homeless person or a junkie or a squatter with a knife or someone who set up traps. Yeah, it's a little bit far-fetched, but this actually happens. People have encountered this before. So I mean, being prepared for it, I mean, it's not that bad. Now this is still on number 4, but charging in head first. Look, some of my adventures that I've had, majority of my adventures that I've had, I've charged in head first, pursuing it recklessly. And honestly, I've had some of my best videos and adventures because of that. But I take the risk. I take responsibility for that. I know what I'm getting into. You just have to accept that it might not go according to plan. Number 5 is how to determine if a location is safe. This one is a little bit more difficult, but if you look out for these things, it's going to make your life so much easier. And I sincerely mean it's going to make your exploring, your adventures go that much more smoothly. The first thing you should look out for is if the building looks like it could come down at any moment. If that is the case, stay away. It's not worth the risk. It's not worth your life. Stay away. Number 2, look for signs of asbestos. This stuff requires a mask. It is deadly. A little rule to follow is that if it's wet and undisturbed, it's fine. Still wear a mask, but it's fine. But if it's dry, crumbly, and it looks like it has been disturbed, you need to immediately wear a mask. This stuff can and will cause cancer. I cannot stress this enough. A lot of places become abandoned due to asbestos. Be careful. Seriously, be careful. For number 3, it actually requires you being on the inside. If the structure looks safe on the outside, you should generally be fine entering. But once you get in there, you should really look out for rotting wood, cancerous concrete, holes in the floor. If it's, say, something like an abandoned power station, look for rotting or rusting walkways and railings, decaying concrete, all that kind of stuff. You want to look out for these things, because if these things fall with you on them, you're not going to be having a fun time. Oh, and if you do chance it, walk on the screws. It is the safest part. It's the strongest part. Walk on the screws, not the middle. Tip number 4, if you encounter people inside these locations, inside the abandoned location that you're exploring, there's 2 ways you can go about it. You can either confront them and make your presence known, or you can get out of there. Both have their risks and rewards. If you choose to confront them, you could make friends. But if you confront them, you also run the risk of them being unsavory characters. That's something to look out for. Use your better judgment in those situations, and there is honestly so much stuff that I could add into this, but if I did, we'd be here for hours. As long as you use common sense, you'll be fine. It's not that hard. For me, when I explore, safety is paramount, not just for myself, but for the people that I explore with. So I always come prepared. I often bring backups of things that I think people might forget, like lights, torches, masks, even food. You know, it just pays to be prepared. So click right here to check out more of your Urbex survival guide. There's a full playlist here. Click right here to come on an adventure with me. I'm always happy to have you come along. Click on my face to join the crew, and I'll see you over there.